Christmas is one of the few celebrations that can cross borders, languages, and cultures without losing its essence. In every corner of the planet, this season awakens something familiar. Streets glowing with lights, scents that bring childhood rushing back, songs that seem to carry old memories, and a shared feeling of slowing down, of gathering, reconnecting, and hoping. Even though each country lives Christmas in its own way, there's an invisible thread linking all these celebrations, the search for light in the darkest days of the year. On this journey, we'll travel through cities where Christmas becomes spectacle, tradition, faith, comfort, or pure fantasy. Some are wrapped in snow and silence, others shine amid the relentless pulse of great metropolises, and some celebrate under the heat of summer. Each destination reveals a different way to live this date, and it's precisely in that contrast that the magic begins to show itself, gently leading us into the first streets where the Christmas spirit takes shape. During Christmas, Vienna seems to slow time itself. The historic streets take on a soft glow, reflected in the old facades that have witnessed centuries of music, art, and tradition. The winter cold blends with the warmth of the lights scattered across the squares, while the scent of roasted chestnuts and mulled wine drifts through the air, inviting locals and visitors to stroll without haste. There is something deeply elegant about this atmosphere, as if the entire city were transformed into a vast open-air ballroom. In the Christmas markets, especially those around City Hall, the experience becomes even more sensory. Wooden stalls display delicate handicrafts, handmade ornaments, and traditional sweets that belong to Austria's collective memory. In the background, classical melodies emerge softly, a reminder that Vienna breathes music even in its simplest moments. Between one steaming cup and the next, conversations blend with the distant sound of bells, creating a setting that feels warm and almost cinematic. At night, the city takes on an even more intimate tone. The ice on outdoor skating rinks reflects golden lights, while parks and palaces look as though they've stepped out of a winter postcard. Vienna doesn't impose Christmas. It wraps it gently around you, preparing the spirit to move forward toward landscapes where snow dominates the horizon, and the Christmas imagination takes on even more vivid forms. At the far north of Europe, where winter rules the landscape for long months, Rovaniemi emerges as a place where Christmas seems woven into the very identity of the land. The city rests among snow-covered forests, frozen rivers, and a deep silence broken only by the soft sound of wind moving through the pines. Here, daylight is brief, yet long enough to turn the endless white into an almost dreamlike setting, where every detail feels designed to welcome and protect. It is in Rovaniemi that Christmas fantasy takes on a tangible form. The streets lead to Santa Claus Village, a place that awakens childhood memories even in adults. Letters cross borders, laughter echoes between wooden buildings, and a sense of constant wonder fills the air. More than a tourist attraction, the village stands as a living symbol of the collective imagination that surrounds Christmas around the world. When night falls, the sky becomes the main character. The northern lights appear in silence, painting the heavens with shades of green, violet, and blue that seem to drift slowly above those watching. The intense cold contrasts with the warmth inside the cabins where fireplaces crackle, and the scents of pine and cinnamon fill the air, creating a deep feeling of refuge. Local cuisine completes the experience, with hearty meals served in cozy settings that reinforce the bond between nature and tradition. In Rovaniemi, Christmas is not merely celebrated, it is lived in every detail. And as this magical atmosphere settles into memory, the spirit of the journey moves on, ready to encounter a completely different celebration, marked by towering lights and an energy that never sleeps. When December arrives in New York, the city reinvents itself. The avenues take on an almost hypnotic glow, reflected in the glass of skyscrapers and in the decorations that fill every corner. The cold bites at your face, but it never slows the pace. Crowds move briskly, blending with tourists who stop to admire elaborate shop windows, true visual spectacles that turn the city into an open-air Christmas stage. In the heart of Manhattan, the towering tree at Rockefeller Center stands as a universal symbol of Christmas. Thousands of lights illuminate the night and draw eyes from all over the world, while the skating rink just below mirrors laughter, gentle falls, and moments that seem suspended in time. Not far away, Central Park offers a quieter contrast, with snow-covered paths inviting a pause amid the relentless rhythm of the metropolis. New York lives Christmas on a grand, intense, and vibrant scale, where each light seems to compete with the next and every moment carries both urgency and wonder. This constant, almost inexhaustible energy naturally prepares the spirit to move on toward a place where Christmas is not confined to a single season, but seems to exist as a permanent part of the landscape. Amid the frozen vastness of Alaska, there's a small town where Christmas is not limited to a specific date on the calendar. In North Pole, the Christmas spirit seems to defy time and seasons, remaining alive throughout the entire year. The streets are decorated in festive colors, lampposts display permanent ornaments, and shop windows are filled with symbols that evoke childhood and fantasy. Even under the pale blue sky of extreme winter, there is a constant sense of warmth and welcome. The cold air carries familiar scents of hot chocolate and freshly baked cookies, while visitors wander through stores specializing in letters, souvenirs, and unique ornaments. There is something deliberately simple about this place, as if the town had chosen to preserve a pure ideal of Christmas, far removed from haste and grandeur. Here, time seems to slow down, allowing every detail to be noticed and appreciated. All around, the white landscape stretches as far as the eye can see, offering space for outdoor activities such as snowy walks and quiet trails through frozen forests. North Pole may not impress by its size, but by the consistency with which it keeps the essence of Christmas alive. This sense of permanence creates a natural transition to another kind of celebration, where tradition, memory, and cultural heritage guide Christmas along paths deeply rooted in history. In Tokyo, Christmas takes on a unique form, distant from religious traditions and deeply connected to aesthetics, light, and the urban experience. As the end of the year approaches, the city transforms into a vast visual spectacle. Avenues, plazas, and stations are filled with elaborate illuminations, where millions of lights create futuristic scenes that reflect the innovative spirit of the Japanese capital. Christmas here is less about the past and more about the enchantment of the present. Neighborhoods such as Shibuya and Roppongi become gathering points where families, couples, and friends stroll among light installations and themed events. Parks and shopping centers display towering trees and carefully planned decorations, while soft background music accompanies the constant flow of the city. In places like theme parks, characters and special parades reinforce the playful nature of the season, creating a celebration that blends fantasy and modernity with ease. Even without intense cold or traditional snowfall, Tokyo succeeds in creating an engaging atmosphere where Christmas is expressed through creativity and visual emotion. This ability to reinvent the celebration shows how the Christmas spirit can adapt to any culture. And as the lights of the metropolis continue to shine late into the night, the journey moves on toward a city where Christmas reveals itself through romance, history, and a glow that has illuminated the European winter for centuries. During Christmas, Paris seems to reveal an even more delicate version of itself. The grand avenues glow in golden tones, reflected in elegant shop windows and the historic buildings that shape the city's identity. Walking through these spaces feels like moving across a carefully composed scene, where every detail contributes to an atmosphere of quiet charm. The winter cold sets the pace of unhurried steps, while the air fills with the aroma of sweets, spices, and mulled wine. In the squares and along the banks of the Seine, Christmas markets appear as small refuges of warmth and togetherness. Among wooden stalls, handcrafted decorations, and gentle songs, locals and visitors come together to share simple moments. Outdoor ice rinks complete the scene, offering a different perspective of the city, where the motion of the ice contrasts with the solidity of monuments that have endured for generations. Paris lives Christmas with discretion and elegance, without excess, yet rich in meaning. The city doesn't need to announce its beauty, it simply lets it flow through illuminated streets. And as this romantic atmosphere settles into memory, the journey continues toward a city where Christmas intertwines even more deeply with medieval history and traditions preserved for centuries. In Strasbourg, Christmas feels deeply rooted, anchored in the heart of the city for centuries. Half-timber houses, narrow streets, and quiet canals create a setting where winter becomes part of the story itself. When the lights come on and the cold intensifies, the city settles into its own rhythm, slower, almost ceremonial, as if prepared to welcome a celebration that has crossed generations without losing its essence. Christmas markets take over the squares and spread through the historic neighborhoods, filling the air with the scent of spices, mulled wine, and traditional dishes from the Alsace region. Each stall offers not only handcrafted goods, but also carefully preserved stories and traditions. Walking among the lights is like stepping into a Christmas that relies not on extravagance, but on continuity, memory, and a sense of belonging. Strasbourg conveys the feeling that Christmas is built slowly year after year, keeping a unique cultural heritage alive. This atmosphere of solid tradition and medieval charm prepares the spirit to move on toward another city, where winter, music, and ancient architecture come together to create a Christmas that feels as though it has stepped straight out of an old tale. In Prague, Christmas spreads through the streets like an echo from the past. Gothic towers, stone bridges, and ancient facades glow softly under the winter light, while snowflakes drift slowly down, wrapping the city in an almost reverent silence. Walking through the historic center at this time of year feels like crossing centuries of history, where every square seems to hold a memory, and every corner reveals a carefully preserved scene. Churches and cathedrals become gathering places for choirs and performances that fill the air with traditional melodies. The sound of voices echoes through vast spaces, blending with the cold and creating an atmosphere of deep contemplation. Christmas markets appear among centuries-old buildings, offering handicrafts, warm drinks, and flavors rooted in local culture, all accompanied by a constant sense of welcome. Prague lives Christmas with solemnity and poetry, as if time itself slows down to allow every detail to be appreciated. This blend of music, architecture, and winter creates an almost magical mood, preparing the way for a city where Christmas takes on a more vibrant form, marked by grand avenues, intense lights, and a celebration that balances tradition and spectacle in equal measure. In London, Christmas unfolds as a grand urban spectacle where tradition and modernity walk side by side. The streets are illuminated with striking displays, reflected in historic facades and contemporary buildings that shape the city's landscape. The winter cold wraps around the crowds moving through the avenues, while the distant sound of Christmas music blends with the constant motion, creating an atmosphere that feels both vibrant and welcoming. The shop windows of major department stores turn into temporary works of art. Every detail is carefully designed to tell stories, spark curiosity, and invite admiration. People stop, watch, take photos, and share moments that repeat year after year, yet never feel quite the same. In the parks, the city reveals a different rhythm, lighter and more relaxed, with spaces dedicated to fairs, ice rinks, and gatherings that celebrate the season. In historic locations, Christmas takes on a more solemn tone. Churches and cathedrals host special concerts, where voices resonate against ancient walls, reminding visitors that the celebration is also shaped by silence, reflection, and memory. The city moves effortlessly between the brilliance of festive lights and the introspection that winter brings, offering many ways to experience the same holiday. This diversity of experiences makes London a living portrait of how Christmas can adapt without losing its identity. As lights stretch along the streets and the urban pulse continues to beat, the journey moves on toward a landscape where castles, rolling hills, and ancient traditions give Christmas an even more ancestral tone. In Edinburgh, Christmas unfolds like an ancient story, told through stone, hills, and buildings that have withstood the test of time. The castle dominating the skyline seems to watch silently over the illuminated streets, while the winter cold deepens the sense of retreat and mystery. There is something solemn in the air, as if the city itself understands that this is a season of memory, tradition, and coming together. Christmas markets appear along historic streets, bringing with them the aromas of spices, sweets, and hot drinks that follow the steps of those who wander without haste. The sound of bagpipes and traditional songs drifts gently through the air, creating a soundtrack that connects the present to Scotland's Celtic roots. Churches and cultural venues host concerts that turn winter silence into shared emotion. Edinburgh lives Christmas with a contained, profound, and authentic energy. Between soft lights and landscapes shaped by history, the city invites contemplation before moving on. And as the Christmas spirit settles among ancient walls and cobblestone streets, the journey continues toward a place where winter gives way to warmth, and Christmas is celebrated under a completely different sky. In Copenhagen, Christmas reveals itself in a warm and intimate way, as if the entire city were inviting everyone to slow down. The streets glow with soft lights reflected in quiet canals and colorful facades that stand up to the winter. The cold is constant but never harsh. It simply reinforces the search for comfort, connection, and small rituals that define everyday life at this time of year. Christmas markets appear along the harbor and in central squares, offering handcrafted goods, traditional sweets, and hot drinks that warm both hands and spirit. Walking among the stalls is an experience of the coziness that defines local culture, where the simple act of being present becomes part of the celebration. Tivoli Gardens, illuminated by thousands of lights, completes the scene with an almost dreamlike atmosphere where tradition and fantasy meet. Copenhagen celebrates Christmas without excess, valuing balance and a shared sense of well-being. This calm approach creates a natural transition to a city where Christmas is expressed in a completely different way, among skyscrapers, intense lights, and an urban energy that reflects the diversity of the modern world. In Singapore, Christmas appears wrapped in a cosmopolitan atmosphere, where urban brilliance blends with the city's cultural diversity. Illuminated skyscrapers reflect carefully designed decorations, while streets and shopping centers turn into corridors of light. The tropical climate contrasts with classic Christmas symbols, creating a celebration that feels both familiar and surprising. Orchard Road becomes the main stage for this transformation. Giant trees, luminous sculptures, and themed installations line the avenue, drawing locals and visitors who stroll past sophisticated storefronts and decorated spaces. Markets and cultural events round out the experience, offering international flavors and performances that highlight the city's rich mix of traditions. Here, Christmas is lived as a meeting of cultures, reflecting Singapore's open and global identity. Even surrounded by modernity and constant movement, the city manages to create moments of wonder and pause. Between vibrant lights and refined cuisine, Singapore shows how the Christmas spirit can adapt to a contemporary rhythm without losing its essence. And as this urban glow slowly settles into memory, the journey continues toward a place where history asserts itself more strongly, giving Christmas a deeper tone rooted in Europe's past. In Berlin, Christmas spreads through the city in an intense, sensory way. Grand avenues light up, and the winter cold carries with it the unmistakable aroma of spices, roasted chestnuts, and mulled wine. A city shaped by deep history and constant transformation finds in Christmas a moment of collective pause, where past and present meet along bustling streets. Christmas markets fill squares and historic spaces, creating gathering points that blend tradition and social life. Among wooden stalls and soft lights, locals and visitors stroll unhurriedly, sharing regional flavors and conversations that warm more than any hot drink. Iconic landmarks take on new life under Christmas decorations, offering a fresh perspective on a city known for reinventing itself. Berlin celebrates Christmas with authenticity, without excess, yet rich in emotional intensity. It is a celebration that carries memory, identity, and renewal all at once. And as the lights reflect on the city's cold streets, the journey moves on toward a place where winter is equally harsh, but wrapped in a cultural atmosphere shaped by European influences and a vibrant spirit. In Montreal, Christmas arrives alongside intense cold and an urban energy that never fully disappears. The city, shaped by the coexistence of French and English influences, lights up vibrantly during winter. Historic facades receive subtle decorations, while entire neighborhoods glow with lights that contrast against the white of the snow, creating a setting where culture and season walk hand in hand. The streets become places of gathering, filled with markets, cultural events, and performances that warm the atmosphere. Cafes and restaurants offer refuge from the cold, releasing aromas that invite people to pause and talk. For many, Christmas in Montreal is also lived outdoors, on skating rinks, in snow-covered parks, and through activities that make winter an essential part of the celebration. Montreal finds in Christmas a balance between movement and comfort. The city pulses even on the coldest days, revealing a way of celebrating that blends European tradition with North American spirit. This combination naturally prepares the way for a place where French heritage becomes even more visible, in a setting that feels shaped for winter and its stories. In Quebec City, Christmas seems to emerge from another era. Stone walls, cobblestone streets, and historic buildings create a setting reminiscent of old European towns, now covered by the deep white of the Canadian winter. Soft lights reflect off aged facades, while the cold heightens a sense of retreat and contemplation. There's an elegant quiet in the air, broken only by footsteps in the snow and the gentle rise of Christmas melodies. The imposing Chateau Frontenac becomes one of the central symbols of the season, illuminated as if it were part of a grand cinematic scene. Nearby traditional markets and events reinforce the welcoming atmosphere, offering regional flavors, hot drinks, and small gatherings that transform the severity of winter into something inviting. Every detail feels carefully preserved, as though Christmas here were lived with deep respect for history and tradition. Quebec City celebrates Christmas with solemnity and charm, blending memory, architecture, and winter into a harmonious experience. This almost timeless atmosphere naturally leads onward to a destination where Christmas takes on an even more symbolic meaning, shaped by faith, ancient history, and rituals that have endured for centuries. In Rome, Christmas takes on a meaning that goes beyond visual celebration. The city, shaped by layers of history, art, and spirituality, experiences this season with quiet solemnity. Streets in the historic center are illuminated with restraint, respecting the grandeur of ancient buildings, while the sound of bells echoes through squares and narrow alleys, reminding visitors that time seems to follow a different rhythm here. Christmas traditions appear throughout the city in nativity scenes, some simple, others elaborate, all rich in symbolism. Walking through historic neighborhoods in December reveals how Christmas is woven into everyday life, without excess, but with depth. The aroma of traditional dishes drifts from restaurants, reinforcing the idea of gathering around the table, a central value in Italian culture. Faith plays an essential role during this period. Churches host special celebrations, bringing together locals and visitors in moments of reflection and shared meaning. The city becomes a point of convergence for people from all over the world, drawn by an atmosphere that unites spirituality and tradition within the same timeless setting. Rome lives Christmas without relying on grand spectacles to move the heart. It is a celebration built on gestures, symbols, and historical continuity. And as this experience deepens, the journey naturally continues toward a place where the spiritual meaning of Christmas becomes even more concentrated at the very heart of the Christian faith. In Dublin, Christmas reveals itself in a warm and heartfelt way, sustained by music, social life, and a deep sense of community. The streets are lined with colorful lights reflected in shop windows and on pavements dampened by winter rain, while the steady flow of people shows a city that celebrates even during the shortest days of the year. There is a spontaneous energy in the air, shaped by encounters, conversations, and small shared rituals. Grafton Street becomes one of the main stages of this celebration. Street musicians fill the space with Christmas songs, creating a living soundtrack that follows passers-by. Seasonal markets offer traditional sweets, hot drinks, and local flavors, inviting unplanned pauses in the cold. Every detail reinforces the idea that in Dublin, Christmas is experienced collectively through closeness and connection between people. In pubs, the Christmas spirit finds its most authentic refuge. Lit fireplaces, live music, and laughter echo within old walls, transforming the cold outside into warmth within. Dublin celebrates Christmas with humanity and simple joy, and this welcoming atmosphere prepares the way for a destination where modernity takes center stage, illuminating Christmas on a monumental scale among skyscrapers and reflections over the water. In Hong Kong, Christmas unfolds on a grand scale, reflected in the glass and steel facades that shape the city's skyline. At night, skyscrapers turn into luminous panels, creating a visual spectacle that stretches along the harbor. Lights, colors, and reflections dance across the water, forming an urban landscape where celebration moves at a fast pace, perfectly aligned with the city's constant energy. Even amid such intense modernity, Christmas still finds room to enchant. Shopping centers, public squares, and waterfront areas host impressive decorations, while residents and visitors gather to watch light shows that illuminate the sky. Hong Kong lives Christmas as a collective and visual experience defined by impact and innovation. And as this urban brilliance slowly fades into memory, the journey reaches its final point, inviting reflection on everything that connects these very different celebrations around the world. As we travel through such different cities, it becomes clear that Christmas takes on many forms, colors, and rhythms. In some places, it is born from the silence of snow. In others, from the intense glow of urban lights or the warmth of tropical beaches. There are Christmases shaped by faith, tradition, music, togetherness, or quiet contemplation. And yet, in every one of these settings, something remains constant. The human desire to gather, to celebrate, and to find meaning in small gestures. This journey reveals that Christmas does not belong to a single place, climate, or culture. It adapts, transforms, and renews itself, while always carrying the same essence of
Com uma
hope,
mistura
light,
de
and
mercados
connection.
charmosos,
Whether among
música
ancient
clássica
castles,
e
modern
arquitetura
skyscrapers,
histórica,
or simple
Viena
streets
oferece
illuminated by
Natal
shared stories,
elegante e
Christmas
cultural.
continues to be a meeting point for people and memories. It is in this shared diversity that the celebration finds its greatest strength, reminding us that, no matter where we are, there's always a bit of Christmas capable of bringing us together. To watch more documentaries like this, subscribe to the channel and we'll see you in the next one.